Howdy, y'all. We are going to check out how to use the Overtone series to make some interesting instruments out of simple waveforms. You're going to need a few things. First, you're going to need some audio of simple waveforms like sine or saw. Sine is probably going to be good to start out with. You'll need a diagram of the Overtone series and a simpler with some Midi effect racks or a Midi effect rack on it. Cool. So here's what you're going to do. You are going to start by getting that Midi channel into Ableton. Add that sine into a simpler, so just go ahead and drag in out of your instruments, drag in a simpler. Go to that, where do I save it? There it is, samples, processed, tones, etc. And that's where I have my sine at. So all I got to do is drag that in, boom, and I got myself a simpler. Sounds pretty loud to start out, so let's go ahead and decrease that. Sounds like this. Not very exciting, right? So I have here a simpler that's got several waveforms on it, and it's got the pre-made effect tracks on it. So go ahead and in your MIDI effects folder, drag down just a regular old chord onto your instrument. Then right click on it, group it, and under the list here, rename that chain as, I don't know, I've got 3 instances of this. I called the first 2 as stable overtones, 1 and 2, and the last one is unstable overtones, and we'll show you what that means in just a second. So you could call it just 1, duplicate, and then rename it as 2, Control D to duplicate, and then rename as 3. You will need at least 3 to get the full, the full overtone series, the common overtone series in there. So you'll need 3. Then what you're going to do is you're going to set them to this series of intervals. So I've gone ahead and shown you the pluses and minuses here. Everything highlighted in green is the root note. So that would be like a multiple of 12. So an octave down would be minus 12. 0 would be the note itself. Plus 12 would be an octave up. Plus 24 would be 2 octaves up. Plus 36, which is where we stop, would be 3 octaves up. Yellows are the dominants because they're dominating, I don't know, because they're the 5th of note. So I have highlighted in red or pink or whatever color you want to call that, some notes that are nasty. So when you get into the overtone series, it's a mathematical occurrence is what it is. It happens based on, you divide a vibration by a certain fraction each time, and it gives you a new note, a new overtone. And not all of them are perfectly in tune, as we call in tune. So I've marked those. That'd be the plus 22, the plus 30, the plus 32, and the plus 34. So I have self-contained those in one specific instance of this little doohickey mabob, and I've called them unstable overtones. So if I solo that, you'll notice that is very crunchy sounding, and that's because Ableton is not playing them out of tune like nature would. So, I mean, it's just going to sound nasty. There's no fine-tune adjustment for that. You can't go into sense and all that stuff. So I would self-contain those in a separate instance and then just turn it off. And you can turn it back on again if you want to. But you may have noticed that my original instrument sounds like this. Whoops. Let's go ahead and create just a blank chain so that you can hear. Here's my original instrument. A little bit of Spidey there. So, I mean, it's just a sine wave, right? But when I start turning these on, all of a sudden, you start getting a more complex sound. And the more overtones you add, it's kind of harsh. And let me go ahead and turn down the volume here. Bloop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. you know, then obviously the more complex your sound gets. And there's options that you can do with this. You can start fine-tuning this. Let's see, get rid of my example here. Close this just to make it smaller. And let's duplicate this. And let's show you how to fine-tune some of these. So if I just go into my stable overtones 1 and 2, I can start turning some of these dudes off. So let's say maybe I really want to emphasize my roots and octaves. So I can go to my chart here, and let's see which ones do I need to turn off. 16, 26, 28. Let's just turn off those guys. So 26, I'm going to double click it and reset it to 0. 28, reset it to 0. 16, reset it to 0. And I think there was one more that I missed. 35 needs to go away. Okay. 35. Okay, so now I should just be roots and fifths. Okay, so I mean, it just gets you a totally different character than you had before. A couple of limitations. One, you are limited to not fine-tuning, so you can't use perfect overtones as nature would have them. You know, you can't get the sense adjustments that you could in nature. Two, it's a huge headache to fine-tune everything. But I mean, it does force you to kind of use a different workflow, kind of work through things in a way that maybe you wouldn't normally, get you out of a rut. But probably the biggest limitation is this dude. Yeah, we're limited to 32 voices, or basically 32 notes being played at once. So between just these two stable tones, I've got 12 notes being played. So if I play more than 2 notes at a time, then I've already 12, 24, 36. I'm not going to be getting all those notes coming out. So it can lead to some interesting variations that you can't control. But, you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Some benefits to this dude. You can go outside of nature's laws. So I have here an example chord. It's just a minor chord. You know, nothing too crazy about it. It's just a minor chord. But once you start moving it around, and it starts planing on itself, it stops sounding like a minor chord and starts sounding just like a new texture of note. Okay, so let's maybe revoice this just to show you. Let's see, 15 would be that minor chord up high. So that's super cool. You can use non-natural overtones, basically just by layering themselves. Okay, another way to fine-tune this, to take it to the next level, let's go ahead and turn the unnatural one off. Let's go back to the natural one, and let's just use the stable overtone level 1. Let's go ahead and instead of using my sine wave, let's use a saw wave, which already has some overtones included in it. So when I add these additional layers of like quasi overtones, you get a really complex sound. Let's do Midi effect rec. So this is no effect rack. This is with the effect rec. So it becomes kind of a new sound. It's kind of interesting there. I wonder what it would sound like with the unstable ones only. You know, one problem with these is that they're just so outrageously high. You know, it makes everything sound so piercing and harsh. But a lot of cool stuff you can do with that. What was I going to say? One thing that I would consider doing if you're going to be doing this go in and balance your stuff. In the chord MIDI effect, this section right here is for balancing the volume. So I would set everything that's not your fundamental note. Let's just go ahead and go back to my sign here. Everything that's not your fundamental, I would de-emphasize. Why can't I hear it? Oh, because I don't. Okay, so now I'm hearing all of them. Let's go ahead and just set everything that's not my fundamental note to like half. And you'll hear a big difference. 0.5. 0.5. Sorry, this will take a second. 0.5. Let's just drag down. Close enough. I mean, it's good enough for a video. But you'll already start hearing a difference. Okay, cool. And so maybe I start working with my attack and my decay here. Let's maybe turn my attack up just a little bit. Can I turn my sustain down? Oh, my release. Kind of a pluck, maybe. Oh, I'm in my wrong instrument, no wonder. You know, sounds almost kind of bell-like there. You can really fine-tune this to make almost any sound you want. And this is really based on the idea that once you strip away overtones from any instrument, if you get down to the fundamental, it is just a sine wave. And so any instrument is sine waves built on top of each other just in the overtone series, and they emphasize different overtones. Some of them are stronger, some of them are weaker, and so that's how you get the different timbres of the different instruments. So taking that effect, taking that concept and just kind of playing with it a little bit with some limitations. So hope you had a great day. If you are in Illinois, then I'm sure you froze your tail off today because it was quite cold. But I guess that's it. Thanks, guys. Bye. How do I stop this video?